गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। ऑफ लेट one is hearing a lot of regime changes around India, instability, not only in India, a little far and wide and beyond. And it is in this context that many people say, look, will India be stable? What are the factors of instability in India? Is a regime change possible? A lot of people have asked me this question. A lot of people in social media debate on this. Articles are coming out and all that. So I thought, let's take a perspective of what's there in all this. Is it there? Is there any instability creeping in? Is it thrust on us? And is there some design to destabilize India? So I thought, let me share a few views, maybe even take some views from you. I have no problem. And we'll go ahead. Right. Now, let's look at this map, and see how the stability, instability factor is playing around us. Look, first and foremost, just look at the immediate neighborhood. Nepal, we know how things have gone bad in Nepal. Bangladesh has been in a lot of issues over the past 1 year. In fact, it's a little more than 1 year. August last year it started. Until April next year, nothing is certain. Even in Nepal, till March, April, we will not have any sense of stability if at all. Elections are there. Myanmar, there's a civil war still raging. 3 years passed. Sri Lanka, it had a complete meltdown. Go to Maldives. Uh, I wouldn't say a regime change, but a change of uh, government, which was completely on the plank of India out. And look at Pakistan. Pakistan keeps lurching from one problem to the other. One of the most unstable nuclear states going around the world. And of course, Afghanistan. Eternally unstable through centuries. This is our surrounding. And if you see historically, these areas have been stable or unstable episodically. There are huge episodes of instability in these areas, regime changes, things like that, problems. It's not new. Okay, you go look a little west further. Let's look at it. Look at Iran. It's in an unstable kind of a situation. Syria, Israel, Gaza, Yemen. These are in real bad shapes. Will this instability affect others? Point to be seen. Iraq might have come out of the world, the Gulf Wars and all that, but still, a lot of militancy, things are not all that stable because the American troops are still deployed there. And then Turkey. Turkey is also going through political instability of a high order. Recep Erdogan is just pulling along. So on the west, there is immediate west. You have instability. There's no doubt about it. Now look at the east. Look at these areas. China itself is unstable. It's got a different exterior. There's a different interior. It's struggling interior. Externally, it might give all the thing that I'm going to get in a new global order and this and that and all that. But internally, it's in a problem. Look at Thailand. One minister already in jail. One prime minister in jail. There's a prime minister recently sacked because she leaked some information or had some communication with Cambodia, which is supposed to be their enemy state. And that whole story went against, and you see there is everyone thinks Thailand is a stable country. No, it's not. And then look at Malaysia. I mean, if you really see, the kind of corruption which is going on there, prime ministers being sacked and put behind bars or being investigated for major corruption deals, all that. Indonesia, everyone thought Indonesia was this thing. See the kind of uh, violence which erupted there. Why? People are not happy. And whatever happened in Indonesia was the trigger for what happened, the model for Nepal. And what happened in Indonesia, the trigger came probably from Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. So you see this domino effect taking place. You see this domino, what happened in Syria, what happened in all these places. So what will happen? So there is a effect, inward effect coming from all these places into India. So there will be instability, induced instability. I mean, let's look at it. Every country around in this area, every country in this area impacts us. And every country has a constituency here. That's something which we have to understand. That's the nature of India. You have Nepalese Gurkhas, you have Gurkhas here. The Terai people have connections with people in Bihar, and or the Madhesis have connections with people in Terai and especially in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh and even Darjeeling, Sikkim, Gangtok, all these places. Further even to Himachal. So Nepal affects Bhutan. Bhutan, of course, is quite Bangladesh. The ring around Bangladesh, West Bengal is affected. Assam is affected. There's districts of Dhubri, Nagaon. You go there and you'll understand. Actually, you have to go there. Tripura. If you stayed there, gone through the villages, you understand the things which are happening. Right? There is instability. Myanmar, Manipur, Mizoram, another area of instability. So every country has a constituency here. You see, there are people in India who are sympathetic to Gaza. What's happening in Gaza? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but people in Gaza have a constituency here, and it induces instability. Right? And we think those countries of the southeast don't affect. No. Come to the South India. People have connect there. And then it's not only limited to this. You see what's happening in Europe, whether it's in Germany, France, Britain. Look at Japan, look at South Korea. These are major economies in turmoil, and forget about USA and China, who also are in all this. You see India is actually stable. It's still growing at some phenomenal growth rates. Right? Yesterday I was seeing a program where they show the complete Americas, North and South. The global economic outlook is not good for them. So in Europe and so in the Far East. It's only here the things are okay. So every country seeks, a slice in India's growth story. They say, let's get to. Everyone wants. After all, it's that old Hindi saying, "Behte Ganga mein haath dholo." Everyone wants to dip into the Ganges and purify himself. And you have to also understand, the olden days people used to say, "Bharat sone ka chidiya hai." Is that time coming back? I'm not talking like a nationalist. I'm not talking like a guy who is parochial towards India. But I'm talking of our scriptures. That's what they say. And I'm also talking of recorded history, where if you go to this book called Rise and Fall of Empires by Joseph Kennedy, he says very clearly at one point of time 40% of the global economy was between China and India. In fact, it is not 40, it was about 45% or 50, even 50%. Yeah, China has risen back to its original form in some manner. It's India's turn today. But there are issues. Our traditional adversaries today want to pull India down. Who are our traditional adversaries? Pakistan and China. They don't want to see India going forward. So there's going to be a problem. Then the colonial powers, they don't like India's rise. That's apparent. You see these backlash in USA today, where some kind of a hate India campaign is on, right? And while that is on, they intend to pull India down because they can't see a power like India coming out. It doesn't fit into their calculations and thinking. And it is through these two strains, traditional adversaries and colonial powers, often this business of regime change comes up. They are the ones who propagate this whole story of regime change. They want to exploit many issues in India. And India has many internal issues. There's no doubt. You have insurgencies, you have ethnic tensions, you have religious divides, you have tribal issues, you have resource issues, you have educational issues, X, Y, Z. Today morning, I was seeing uh, a documentary of the divide between India, North India, and South India. And who's made this documentary? Germany, DW. Very well documented. But that's a narrative which is coming out. That there's a divide, and this divide of culture, there's a divide of economy, all that could split India. There must be problems, there's no doubt about it. Right? I have no doubt that we have problems, but others are talking about it. And then there's the factor of increasing climate and natural disasters. See what happened in Punjab this year. See what's happening in the Dehradun area. Cloudburst, rains, floods. See what's happening all over India where this year we've got excess rains. Last year there was a cloudburst in Sikkim, somewhere else there's something else. Alaknanda. We're going through these cycles. Every disaster, and mind you, India is a disaster prone area. It sets us back. When people say, why are we not growing fast? Because every time we try to go a little ahead, nature is against us. And then there are growth related tensions. There could be societal, there could be legal, there could be energy deficiency, a whole lot of things which are there. All these impact us and cause instability. But it's not so. I mean, we have to understand a few issues. India is not perfect. We are not perfect. We also have to understand it faces far bigger challenges than any other country in the subcontinent. It's not only in the subcontinent, even beyond. The kind of challenges which we have faced is not funny. We face separatism. Tamil Nadu, earlier stages, when the Dravidian movement was very strong. At one point of time, Tamil Nadu wanted to secede from India. It's not spoken of. You have the Northeast, the Naga movement. They wanted a Naga land, Naga limb, the greater Naga limb. You had Punjab, who wanted to become Khalistan. A lot of, the Khalistani movement. Then you had the J&K, whether it is sponsored from outside or not. But these movements, these separatism in all these places, was palpable. And we have to also understand, Islam. People talk of religious, you know, I wouldn't say revival, X, Y, Z. That's gone on a hype these days. But we need to understand Islam has not helped Pakistan or Bangladesh. And a Hindu kingdom like, or a Hindu Rashtra like Nepal has also not been helped by religion. Religion won't help India, but our culture and history will, or people will. Now, culture is different from religion. Culture is our shared traditions, understanding what we are, what is their history, how migration has taken place, how people have come into this country and settled here, how people have gone out. It might not be perfect, it might not fit into everyone's vision, but it's what is the reality. Of course, there will be grievances because of that. There will be differences of opinion. All that is there. Some of these opinions might be violent. Well, that's India. A government in India, whether it's at the state level or at the central level, has to tackle diverse elements, or terrain is different, or weather is different, or ways of language is different. Everything is different in India. Every 20 kilometers, the dialect changes. Every 100 kilometers, people change. So we have to understand that by construct, India is unstable, right? But there are a whole lot of issues which make us stable. And that is something which I thought I'll share with you. Someone a week back said, "So, can you list out what are the points of stability in India? And can you write something on it?" I couldn't because I was a little busy. So I wrote a few points, gave it. The gentleman, Sanjeev Nair, he from Bombay, he wrote an article, quoted what I gave. Then I reflected on it. And then I said, let me share it with all of you and expand it. Yeah, the first thing is it's a very positive thing that the notion of an Indian civilization, we are a civilizational state, we are a civilizational nation, and that makes us a civilizational nation state. We have an identity called India, Bharat, whatever you call it, depending on which side of the bed you get up in the morning. I'm either India, I'm in India or Bharat. It's the same. But, well, people say, no, no, this is Bharat. I agree. This is India. I agree. Both are correct. Then we have something very important which is ingrained in our system, or Shastras, or, you know, ancient writings. You know, in our ancient writings, if you see, whether it is by Chanakya or Mahabharata or in Vedas, wherever, the king is meant for the welfare of the people, always and every time. And he is not, the king is not the sovereign. The law is sovereign, right? And never has anywhere in our history, if you see, that the king is placed above the people. It is always the people who are above the king. The law was above everyone. And these laws have been codified in various formats and various places in various ways in various scriptures. And we're carrying it forward. That's why the spirit of dharma, though I put it in the end here, it's the principle of rule of law, dharma. Dharma is part of our antiquity. I mean, if I quote Mahabharata, Dharmaraj, Yudhishthir, and if you see this completely, that principle of what is right, the righteousness of a path, is ingrained in Indians. And people who came from outside imbibed it. People who came from outside imbibed it. And people got assimilated with this kind of thinking. And then, of course, we have a great constitution. The constitution is very important for us, for our stability. And in India, the constitution works, unlike in other countries. We might not agree to it, but the constitution works. We might have disagreements with it, yes. There might be large times when the constitution seems to be not working. But it works. Otherwise, we could have gone through coups like in Pakistan. We could have gone through regime changes. We could have gone through so many things. It didn't happen. It never happened. We have a set system. Say for a if a person, the prime minister goes for some reason, he falls, immediately there is a backup. Someone else takes over. Someone else takes over. There's systems in place, and that comes from our constitution. Economically, today we are in a sweet spot. People might say anything they want. Oh, we are dependent on China, we are dependent on USA, dependent on this, dependent on that, yeah, all that. But or we are in a sweet spot. Our demography is young. People are aspirational. People want to live better. People want to get educated. People want to see their next generation do better. And that economic sweet spot comes from there. The people drive the economy. And we are lucky that we have a economy which is largely insulated still. And it's a consumption driven economy. I keep saying this. If you are a export driven economy or a market driven economy or a manufacturing driven economy, you had to go around selling your goods, and people who consume, like USA, would hold you to ransom, like the way they are trying to hold us to ransom. Why is USA not able to, put everything over the barrel with us? Because we are not Japan, we are not Germany, we are not China, we are not South Korea, where USA has to buy our goods or their goods. We are our own people. What we produce, we consume. What others produce, we consume, and we produce also. Don't forget that we are still the fifth largest manufacturing nation in the world. It's not that we don't manufacture. We need to manufacture more. That's a different story. Then our system works. Many of us might feel the system doesn't work, but it still works. Whether it's the civil servants, whether it's the judges, the media, the determined, the non-apolitical army which we have, which is so determined to be apolitical. Even our much maligned politicians work. You can always find a reason for these chaps say, oh, they don't work. But if they didn't work at all, we would be in a state of anarchy. They work in some manner. There are times when many of these people don't work. Judgments still happen. Civil servants still, do the right thing. Right? It's not as if it's not there. It's there. We should be proud of it. Okay, they have spoken of the principles of rule of law and leadership. We've had great leadership over years. Well, you might debate that, oh, that leadership was not good, that leader was bad, this leader was bad. Yeah, but that's a matter of personal opinion. If the leaders who have led this country for the past 70 years or more didn't do their job, we wouldn't be where we are. It is just India is not made of one leader. And Mr. Modi is not the first Prime Minister of India. We had so many. We've had statesmen. We've had people who are not statesmen, both, right? So we've had good leaders. It's not only good leaders in the government, we've had good leaders outside the government. We had a person like Jayaprakash Narayan who led a movement outside the government to reform the government. I mean, people forget. It's not simple that he was a great man, right? We've had leadership at states level. We've had giants who you call them satraps, you call them whatever you want, but they led the state to where it is. And not only through that state, they led India at various levels. They gave leadership, societal change. You go back in time, the kind of change I have seen in my lifetime is phenomenal in terms of caste, creed, ethnicity, how we treat each other, how we behave with each other. Let me give you an example in this. When I joined my regiment initially, right? Oh, we're from a class unit, right? And Rajputs, big mustaches like what I have. And that's where I got my mustache from. And these Rajputs wouldn't be anywhere near lower caste. They were very conscious of it. That's the societal milieu we lived in. I used to feel, from I was a guy from the south. South was more emancipated, and the societal change was faster in the south. So when I joined the army, I used to say, "Look, why is this chap not mixing with others? They'll work the role. They'll do all orders, everything they'll carry out. But socially, they would not mix." So it took me some time to understand and break bridges, break barriers. Rather, build bridges and break barriers. But today, a lot of change. They don't think like that. They don't think that I'm from an upper caste and that chap is from a lower caste. There's complete emancipation. All this has happened. That gives huge strength to people. Then there is a huge lot of checks and balances in our government. When I say government, we have a federated structure of government. It's not that the center can do what it wants. The state governments can refuse. And it's not as if the state governments can do what they want. The center government clamps down on it. Of course, there are some concurrent lists, state lists, A list, O list, central lists. So things have changed. When I was young in South, you couldn't see a Hindi signpost. Today, it's there in every central government office. You see a Hindi signpost. At the same time, you go to every state, all signboards, everything, you'll find the regional or that state language is there, prominent. So people have grown, right? You can't do everything on your own. So if tomorrow the union government wants to do anything on its own or impose a kind of a law as an authoritarian law, he can't. And look at democracy. We have independent and autonomous institutions like RBI, Election Commission. Yeah, well, let's talk of the Election Commission because that's under heat these days. Oh, what chori, ye chori, wo chori, and all that. Yeah, there would be some problems here and there always. That's endemic in any election system. But how have so many change of governments have happened so peacefully over the past 70 years. Not a single time that the governments have been changed by force or they've been stolen. People have changed. The people of India have voted. The people of India have been the final arbiter of who's to rule India. And that has not changed. I mean, I'm again talking with the experience of what I've seen from the time when I was a young boy. You might say the election commission is corrupt. There might be that odd guy who's corrupt, but largely people have brought in a lot of, you know, clarity in what the election commission does and what the transparency involved in the way the elections are conducted. And I can vouch for it. There have been attempts. I've conducted elections under the toughest conditions in Punjab, in J&K, in Assam. To the extent there were inducements given. Sir, why didn't you do this? You'll get so much money and and all that, and elections can be by parties. It happens. I mean, it's not as if we are, above board anywhere, but equally there we have stood. I've seen elections happening with just 10 votes or 12 votes in a booth. So be it. Where people have boycotted elections. Punjab. But even those 12 votes counted. They could make a MP or a MLA. I've also seen people coming out in droves in J&K to vote, irrespective of whether all, ban calls are given and edicts were passed by militants not to vote. People came out and voted. So it's there. Then you see, look at Reserve Bank of India. It holds our banking system. Collapses. There's no time when the rupee has collapsed. There's no time when our banking system has collapsed. We've had problems. We've had frauds. There's no doubt. We've been under severe stress. But the bank has been able to pull it out. RBI has been able to pull it out. So I think we are on a good wicket that way. And you see, look at the armed forces. Why we not had coups? A lot of people say, in the armed forces, constitution, the armed forces are under the president, not under the prime minister. The supreme commander of the armed forces is the president of India and not the prime minister. The prime minister can order the armed forces to do anything he wants. There's no doubt. But constitutionally, it is the president who has to order the armed forces. And constitutionally, the armed forces are mandated to do A, B, C. As a result, we've never been politicized. Otherwise, you look at Bangladesh, you look at even Sri Lanka, you look at Pakistan, prime example, and of course, forget about Taliban and all, or the Middle East things, or even go Far East, where armed forces have played a more than major role in the country's destiny. It's not that we have played less, we played more. By how? Defending the country, defending the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of this country. We have allowed the country to grow. It's such a great institution. And then we have something which is very important for us, diversity. Diversity of this nation brings balance. We have to find common ground. And this is the history of India. This is the history of India. I mean, you look at it, even if the Mughals had to rule from, say, the north to the south, they had to deal with this diversity. So were the Hindu kings who ruled India earlier, like Ashoka, Chandragupta Maurya, or so many, Muslim invaders who came and ruled India, or for that matter, even the East India Company. You broadly see who are the three major rulers of India: the ancient Hindu kings, the Islamic dynasties which flourished, and then, of course, the East India Company, and finally, the government of India as it exists today. All these people had to give respect to diversity, and diversity brought balance to these people. If they didn't listen to this diversity, they were sacked. And then the fact is, India has faced adversity, wars, climate change, so many things, and we've come out trumps always. Growth of the weak states. Weak states have been growing. Yeah, weak states remain weak for many other reasons. There are problems, but they're improving today. And as they improve, the country will get stronger. And look at the infra boom. Never slowly and steadily our infrastructure has been expanding. People make the mistake of comparing it with China. Well, China has a communist system. You had to give up your liberty, your ability to speak free. I mean, I don't see any guy in China talking the way I am talking. It's not possible. There's a boom in infrastructure today in this country. And infrastructure, roads, bridges, airports, enable travel, business, everyone is prospering. Growth is happening at a phenomenal pace. A faster growth might bring societal tensions. We need to do it at Indian pace, Indian solutions. When we compare ourselves with China, we are doing ourselves a disservice. But amongst all this, there's a huge headroom for us to grow. Labor participation in our country is weak. Women participation in labor is still weak. After all, they're 50% of our population. They're not contributing yet. The day they start contributing, this country will be in a different sphere altogether. Manufacturing. We're just still about 13-14%. There is headroom to manufacture. Last mile infrastructure. Well, major airports, roads, bridges, flyovers, electricity, grids, all might come. Is it going down to the last village? When that happens, you will see a multiplier effect in our growth. What about vocational education and skills? Huge. Everyone wants to become, Pradalika in BE or a B Tech. But is that good enough? We need people, skilled labor. So we have a lot of scope to grow, and I see people growing in that direction. It's not as if people are not growing. So till there is this headroom for growth is there, you will see that the country remains stable, upward. If you look at China, China doesn't have any headroom for growth. Their growth is only technology, and that too where people. I mean, these are big populations. See what is happening. Your population is growing, everything is growing, your demographics are good, and you're getting out the best kind of growth rates. Look at China for comparison. His demographics are short and he's going down. And all these headrooms are gone there. They're nothing. What about regime change? A lot of people talk of regime change. Remember, regime change in India is historic. It's historic. Historically, regime changes have happened in India even in pre-independence days. When I say regime changes, not after independence, there's no regime change in the strict sense, but go back. Regime changes were the norm. British period, colonial period, even before that. I mean, the practice or historic practices divide and rule. If you think only the Britishers did divide and rule, we're not correct. Divide and rule always existed. Every invader practiced this thing of divide and rule. Every king spoke of divide and rule. Even somewhere you find Chanakya Niti is all about divide and rule. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. What are you doing? So all these things are there. And then in modern India, has regime change not been attempted? It has been attempted. Has a government been undermined at many places? Yes, it has been. Where are the attempts come from? The attempts have come from China. They've come from USA. They've come from Pakistan. Pakistan at one point of time, I remember in the 70s and 80s, they felt that India was an unnatural state and it had to be broken and balkanized. It's a different thing. It got balkanized on its own. So was USA and China also. China wanted to break it in a different manner through communism. But nothing has happened. Then we've always had this foreign hand syndrome. Every government says foreign hand is there. But is it there really? And that's what I said. All attempts have been unsuccessful. So where are we going? The question is, where are we going? We are going where we are supposed to go. So all this talk of instability, regime change, all that, this is all part of a narrative which can be built up by one party or the other. We need to believe in ourselves as people, that we will deliver to ourselves what, to ourselves. When I say ourselves, our next generation. I just thought I'll put all these across to you, and this is all I have today. If you like this, please like the video, subscribe to Gunner Shot, and also join as members. These are not very glamorous topics to talk of. Everyone knows that today there's been an exchange. Today is our Prime Minister's birthday, so there's been an exchange of greeting between Mr. President Trump and our Prime Minister. And we can talk of India-US. That I'll talk in the evening. We'll talk of India-US relations and with Brigadier Saigal. We'll talk of it, where we are going. But that's for a later day, right? So with this, I'll take a few questions. I'm sure there are views, and all views are good in this. Yeah, Sham, thanks a lot. Please do watch the recording at leisure and give your views. I'll be more than happy. And Akash, good morning. Hans, good morning. Ladybird Haru, good morning. Maga Rebel, Indian Army rejected the upgraded Sharang artillery supplied by AVL due to quality. I know that. I'm aware of this. There must be issues. Let them sort it out. I'll not. Can India currently direct the? We'll not talk of this today, right? Sanjay Saha, good morning. Vivek Berry also, Ram Ram. Arsenal, good morning. The enemies have been trying to orchestrate a regime change in Bharat, particularly over the last 10 years. The 2024 election, Lok Sabha election was a close call. We as a people know their present playbook, but the enemy shall try new tricks. Are we ready? I think so. Look, it's not only this, they've done it before also. It was done ever since I've started voting, and I wouldn't say started voting, learned about elections. This always has been there to undermine, undercut all that. We have done it ourselves, regime change. If you look at it earlier, state government used to be dismissed just like that. That's also regime change to a large extent. We have to understand that. Arshad Pancholi, good morning. Thanks a lot for attending. I see you from the Navy, it appears so. Trump and Modi ji had a phone call last evening. Rapprochement possible. Evening, we'll talk of this. Yeah, transition to a multipolar world where regions are realigning. I agree with you completely. One way to mitigate instabilities, to involve people in the democratic process. It is just not adult franchise, but strengthening local governments, involve people in the village. Yeah, that's happened hell of a lot. Local self-help groups, women's small bank system, micro financing, societal. I mean, there's no doubt we have progressed quite a bit through these initiatives, and you cannot undermine the value of such initiatives at the bottom. There's no doubt. Sir, is the US trying to punish the countries that attended the SCO as reports from Maldives are coming for removal, corruption of Moy? We'll talk of it later, Sanjay. Because I thought, let me stick to what is India. I don't think US can do all that. Yeah. US troops in Bangladesh, is there any serious concern for us? Zero. Nothing. Just like the Awami League is still alive in some form in Bangladesh, communists too will survive and in time trying to enter politics directly or indirectly. Will Nepal go down a similar? Look, communism in Nepal has not gone out, nor has it gone out in India. Let's be very clear. There are enough communists. I showed you pictures of the other day when communists were sitting next to the Chinese ambassador and happy with a board behind them in Chinese. They'll not go, but you have to marginalize them. You have to marginalize them. You have to also remember Manmohan Singh, UPA first edition had communists as part of the government, right? That was the heyday of communism. After that, it's collapsed. You have a government in Kerala which is communist oriented. Okay, so we have to live with this diversity. This plurality is part of our system. Let's live with it. If India does not and correct its fault, address and correct its fault lines, be sure they'll be exploited by powers inimical to its rise. This will happen from the west and east as is opportune for them. I agree with you 100%. That's why today I'm talking. We need to cover our own fault lines. We are the guys who will can help ourselves. We are largely a self-help society. The good thing is we've not taken anyone's aid to come where we are. We know we found our own way till here, and we'll find our own way ahead also. Yeah, Ashok, good morning. How are you? Long time, no comment from you. Yeah. So we must stop the demographic change. There will be massive issue. Most Muslims in Canada talk really badly about us as Hindus, and India cannot. That's fine. These are things with these debates we have to be held and spoken and discussed. Only then you'll get solutions. There's no point keeping them inside a trunk and one day the trunk will explode. That's not the way to go forward. Yeah, agreed. Culture and history, it's a unifier. Weren't all these separatist movements influenced by geopolitical forces that intend to dismantle the Indian Union? Yes, a lot of them. A lot of them. That's what I openly said. Or is there a case to be made there's enough independent forces from within? Yes, we have developed that internal strength not to separate from each other. That's the strength of India today. Being associated with an IIT yourself, how do you feel about leftist communist infiltration of these allied tech institutions via humanities and management courses? We should reclaim IITs. I agree with you, but well, it's there. Uh, it'll need the government to change it. I mean, it's not within our thing. Uh, the government took a decision to get this humanities in. I think it's a bad decision, personally. IIT shouldn't be involved in all such nonsense talk. But well, they are there. It's a reality we have to live with. Interfaith, interreligion, intercultural marriages will help bind together. On the other hand, imposing uniformity will deepen the fault lines. I agree with you. You need to let society to do what it wants to do. Okay. If you look at the same thing differently, I would say more outsiders try to dismantle India, the more India will oppose it and stand united. Having an enemy helps us. I see that philosophy, which is right. They're meant to be outside the custodian entrusted with the people's sovereignty. I'm talking the rulers. The threat of integration is always from within. Well, really speaking, these are imagined threats. We'll not disintegrate. How much possibility do you see the communal other violence due to foreign elements? Quite a bit. Foreign elements have been exploiting this quite a bit. And I know it from first hand. And it is just not Hindu Muslim divide. Sorry, it could be tribal, non-tribal divide. It could be Hindu, Muslim, Christian divide. It could be Buddhism, Hindu divide. There's so many divides in India. All it could be language based. It could be Hindi, Tamil. It could be Tamil, Karnatakas. The societal issues, fault lines are huge. So everyone will have a finger in it. Your thoughts on OTA Chennai compared to other academies? It's quite small. Should it be expanded? Yeah, that's a organizational thing. It needs to be done. They're doing it also. Do you think division amongst us will only get worse? Right now, it's religion hatred. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's religion hatred. Religion hatred and that kind of a division is there only in a few places in India. It's not there everywhere across the board. Okay. I've traveled the length and breadth of this country. It's not there. Religion hatred is only in pockets. We need to control it. Can we see this campaign against EC of India by internal and external narratives to force a regime change in India? Yeah, this is one of the things they'll do. It's not. It's not. What shall I say? It's not uncommon. They've tried it earlier also. So, how does the much weaker opposition at this stage is vulnerable to foreign influence? Look, let me be very blunt about it. Every political party in our country is vulnerable to external influence. Every political party, ruling, opposition, everything. To think that the opposition is weak today is not correct. The opposition is strong. They don't have a strong leader. People in the opposition are good. They don't have a strong leader. Leadership in opposition is lacking. Okay. And my fear is leadership in the ruling party also will be lacking a few years hence. That's when our acid test comes. I said, one of the big stabilizers is our leadership. Without leadership, there will be chaos, retardation, people have to step up. But we need leaders. Constitution works because of Indian people, maybe not the other way around. I agree with you completely. West is more insidious than the East. The Anglo-Saxon white has mastered the art of the. Yep, I agree with you. During the British colonial era and particularly after 1856, at the meeting held in Madras, the plan to destroy our education system. Yes, all these will be there. What all you people are talking are all there. If you're going to be a predominantly consumption-driven economy, shouldn't we invest massively in improving productivity and hence wages at the global level? Yes, I agree with you, Arun, completely. And whether you like it or not, it's happening slowly. Where this government has lagged is in manufacturing. We could have increased our manufacturing. We could have increased our productivity. Both. The efficacy of our manufacturing and the volume of our manufacturing and productivity, total factor productivity, we could increase. One of the ways to increase productivity is to increase the labor force, get ladies into the story, which we have not done well. That's why I said we still have headroom. India, that is Bharat, values stability over chaos. I agree with you. Bharat, India is the same thing. Subramaniam Swami talks a lot of JP Narayan fondly at that. Look, that is because he was part of that movement at that time. He was part of the Janta government experiment. Yeah. Maybe Modi may not be the first Prime Minister of India, but he is the first PM of Bharat. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with your thinking. Okay. Ukraine war, for example, was not to weaken Russia, it was to weaken Europe too. And yeah. Indian nation experiment is very unique in the history of the world, very diverse, yet somehow manages Yes, we are okay. We as a people have different views. Don't worry. Yeah, Kiran MV, thanks a lot. Good morning. Okay, the trap with domestic consumption is quality of goods not being at par globally. I agree with what you're saying. GDP as PPP also doesn't capture this issue. Look, we just have to get down to some fundamentals: better quality, better labor participation, increased manufacturing. Get to standards, lay standards for ourselves, and live up to them. These are the things. More than constitution, Bharatiya people are held together because of dharma. Yeah, I agree with you. I said history. Do the neighbors of India who aligned with the US work to contain India and draw China to the US? Who are those who aligned to the US? There's no neighbor who's aligned to the US the way which is around us who can really affect us. So, uh, geopolitical alignments are fine, but we have to be independent on our own and do things on our own and stop looking at outside that how they can help us or intrude into our own sovereignty and integrity. Don't fall for this that USA runs India. It doesn't. Neither does China. Both have no value. Okay. It's only in elite circles people talk of US influence, yeah, all that. Beyond that, it's not much. Yeah. Party change, leadership change, then vision change. That yeah, all this will happen. That's part of change. Change is a constant in life. You can't give it away. As a citizen, I live in Tamil Nadu. Can you or P Gurus, can you do a session on Dravidian movement in Tamil Nadu? Impact on national interest and the communal religious angle into it. I'll do it one of these days. Let me see. Yeah, the integrity of the system cannot be diverse from the integrity of the people and vice versa. Both government and opposition must be careful not to undermine this bedrock. Even as I agree with you completely. The people matter most, and that's where we have to be proud of ourselves. We, the people of India, have not allowed our governments or politicians to get away from us. And that's where the constitution matters. That's where the election commission matters. That's where many things matter. Okay. I like Modi ji. He brought security, less fear, civic sense, clearing. Yeah, that's fine. But you have to understand. While we have a very good prime minister, he is not infallible or he is not the best. I say this with a lot of care. Who's best and not best is not today. You have to, history will judge him. I mean, if you say we have a very good prime minister, I like him, I support him 100%. But if he's the best or not the best, history will judge. Today, he's the best person to lead the country. That's the point in this given time. We'll see, leave it to the history to see whether he's the best or not. Is there a way to make freedom more economically lucrative? I don't think so. Freedom cannot be linked with economy. Freedom is freedom. How can we change the incentives to reward a free country like India to grow, flourish better than? No, is this possible? It's not. It's not possible at all. Freedom is the freedom to do what you want to do, and we will grow with our freedoms and our problems the way we have to grow, and not bother about how others grow. Yeah, yeah, I agree. It was the Bhakti movement and Gautama's influence. Yes, yes. There are a lot of things, a lot of movements have happened in India, okay, which are good. Every time I see the grand Kartavya path when I visit Delhi, I see the vision that what we are doing all, yeah, worth it. I agree with you. Let me take new people. Oh, Brahmos. Oh, are we civilians allowed to visit Karakoram Pass? Yes, you can go. Karakoram Pass, I don't think is open as it. Right? Rezangla also, I don't think you can go there. Tiger Hill, you can't. It's very difficult to go to Tiger Hill, but you can see Tiger Hill if you go to that memorial which is there in Kargil. Kargil War Memorial, you go. It's quite. From there, you can see Tiger Hill. You can just you look up and that's Tiger Hill. But Karakoram and Rezangla, you can't go. I mean, you can go if you have clearances. Do you see this age of social media and AI as posing unique challenges to now that needs unique approaches? I don't see that. You see, I see culture has taken over AI, or rather, has culture or old culture has embraced AI and social media. You see the social media, see the cultural posts which come up. You see the kind of things which are there. You'll be surprised. In YouTube, there's so many languages and so many cultures and so many, you know, programs on this, which people regularly listen. Religious, social, culture, and probably that's more lucrative than doing geopolitics. So I think that meld is taking place between the traditional and the modern. Any solution for communalism? Well, that problem has to come from within. And if you don't politicize religion, communalism decreases. Unfortunately, our politics revolve a lot around this business of religion, and I think that's the thing. I don't know how we can get rid of it. People that is Bharat prefer stability or chaos. I agree with you. Yeah, fault lines will be erased by common sense people. I completely agree with you, Jagtap. We need informed and educated people to spread the knowledge so that common sense will prevail. 100%. Yeah, thanks a lot, Parth Sane, for becoming a member. Sir, inspiration is the need of our infra monuments, national symbols are part of this effort to unify society. More is needed. I completely agree with you. I have no doubt about it. I believe women are part of the unorganized labor force. They contribute in many ways, including domestic and professionally. I agree with you. But my view is that they have to come into the organized force. Their contribution, then the productivity, all that will improve. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the wonderful different morning session. Yeah, you can't keep doing geopolitics always. We need to talk of what's common, what binds us, what we have to do with each other. Yeah. As you mentioned, various kinds of divisions like languages, religions, and external forces may abuse. Is there a single way to unite us every time? No. We have to believe in ourselves. And we have the track record to do so. We've defeated so many things. We have got over our divides. We need to believe ourselves even more. That's it. That's the way I look at it. More democracy is the answer. Why was constitution changed by Indira Gandhi ji? What was wrong before? Really, I wouldn't like to second guess that, because one is I was probably a little too young to understand what was happening at that time, and now it's gone past. Okay, it's the end of the day. The common people who has to be happy. How to make common people prosperous? Some suggestions, a whole lot, whole lot of things. That's what the government is all about. Ensure that he's given justice, food, shelter, clothing. He should be given a sense of ability to reach out to the top. Fairness, opportunity. There's so many things. We have to give it. We have to help people. That's how it is. We, the people, have to help weaker sections. The government has to be open to them, not give them lollipops like TVs and all for votes. That's not the thing. Do you see headroom for growth? Do you see explicit demand from shipyards of PSU? Reliable? Yeah, all this is there, part of the story. Manufacturing. Yeah, with respect to local manufacturing or auto industry, textile garments, metal, petroleum products, all this, yeah, there are. See, it's not as if we are not world class in many places. We are world class in many places which are tangible and intangible class we have. Okay, so let's be confident of ourselves as a people of India. We are doing, yeah. I was watching Lee Kuan Yew's old interview. He said one of the things that is keeping India from growing as fast as China is its red tapeism. Of course, I think he is right. Well, if you want to grow like China, fine, but let's grow the way we are supposed to grow. Red tapeism is slowly decreasing. That's okay. Yeah, we are proud that we are a food secure nation. Yes, I agree with you. But academia painted him as a fascist monster. Will future Indians be aware of what actually happened? Uh, yeah, yeah. Came back from US after meeting sons on West and East Coast. We have a long way to go before we take on the developed world. I agree with you. Don't see how we can grow without basic discipline and hard work. I agree with you both. And welcome back, Arunachal. Long time. I missed your comments and your views. Right? But what you're saying is right. We have a long way to go. Let's be very clear. We have a long way to go and a long way to progress. But we need to do it and not just get bogged down. We can keep arguing, but we have to do. More important thing is do. Sir, one fault line is social media largely governed by foreign powers and susceptible. We need our own. I have no doubt about it. You're very right. Yeah, which theaters should we have? Theaters are, I will talk of it a little later, right? There's no hurry for this. But largely three theaters, one northern, one western, and one maritime. And I need, I've always felt that we need a reserve theater. And I'll one day maybe talk of it. When the issue of theater commands came, I drew a diagram. It's there in my blog. And I'll bring it out and I'll show you why that reserve theater is required. That's my view. I'll put it across. To my question and to put my question into perspective, when sufficient amount of money is accessible to him after all expenses from the service he rendered, he can sleep peacefully, which is not happening. Okay. Yeah, we will keep losing a talent to West without STEM schools and work opportunities. I agree with you. I mean, all your ideas are right. Good morning. Yeah. Rise of religious politics, Newton's third law of motion called secular politics started. Look, Rajesh, again, I wouldn't like you to say secular and talk derogatory of people who achieved freedom from us for us and who was the prime minister of this country. He might be wrong in many issues. I don't hold a candle to Mr. Pandit Nehru for many things he didn't do or did wrong. But at the same time, we don't have to be derogatory. He was the prime minister of this country at a difficult time. He held this country together. Otherwise, it would have broken up. Please remember, none of the current crop of leaders were there to hold this country together. Remember that. Yeah, I saw our own talent. Yeah, I agree with you. I see your story. Why is only US king of regime change? Yeah, you ask the US, yeah, how do I know? I mean, that's the way it is. Yeah, right. See, we must understand secular credentials are secular credentials. Okay, and I believe in secularity. Let me be upfront about it. I'm We're not going to hide behind this thought because I grew up in an environment like that. That's the army credo, secular. If you're reading men, whether they're Hindu, they're Muslim, they're Christian, or Sikh, or any other Buddhist, you have to adopt their religion. When my troops were of Buddhist origin in Ladakh Scouts, I used to go to a Gompa. When my troops were Muslims, I used to go to Idgah. When my troops were Hindu, I had to go to a mandir. And if my troops were a particular type of Hindus, I had to go to their deities. If they were from, they were Sikhs, I had to go to the Gurdwara or a church. That's how I've grown up. That's how I lived my life. And I expected my troops to behave for India, not for a particular cause, for India. And when they had to sacrifice their lives, it was for India. There's no religion in that. Their blood was of Indian, not a religion. So please, that's what I stand for. Yeah. What about in the name of secularism do appeasement politics? That's political. We're not talking of political. This is a political channel. We don't get our political biases here. If that is the case, we don't discuss. There is appeasement politics. There are a lot of things which are happening. We know that. By not discussing those things, you will do a lot of good to each other. Okay. हमारे भारत में है ना मौन व्रत. Let's have मौन व्रत on politics in this channel. There are enough channels where politics are discussed. I can discuss politics, I can discuss communalism, I can discuss everything, but I've seen it firsthand. You should see in a state of communal riots what happens. People dying, people getting killed, and divide. I've gone through this. It's sickening. We have to be empathetic to each other. Anyway, it's a different story. But thanks a lot for all of you who have joined. So, had a different kind of a discussion today. If you liked it, spread this around to others. But by evening, we'll talk of, is there a reset on cards between India and US? And we'll talk with the Brigadier Arun Saigal. 8 o'clock, join in. Or maybe about 7 o'clock or 7:30, depends on how things happen. Right, till then, have a great day and enjoy yourselves. And Jai Hind to all of you.